Hello, I'm Vernon Owens, Education Coordinator for the Bellevue Fire Department Emergency Preparedness Division. Today we're going to talk about some basic emergency preparedness information and the Strengthening Preparedness Among Neighbors program, or SPAN. Here are a few facts about the state of Washington. The most common disasters are weather-related, and Washington State has more risk of natural disasters than any other state in the United States. Here are a few examples of hazards we are at risk for within Washington State. Severe winds, earthquake, terrorism. We also have Mount St. Helens, an active volcano in our backyard. Here's a question for you. Where are you going to be when the next disaster hits? Are you going to be at home? At work? Are your children going to be at school? Are you going to be on vacation on the road? The fact is, we don't know where we're going to be when the next disaster hits. So you have to be prepared all the time. Here are 3 keys to success. Plan for disaster. Practice your plan and prepare. So what are the impacts of a large disaster in our community? First and foremost, there's going to be damage to important services that everyone needs all the time. Utilities, water and sewer, electricity, natural gas. The roadways may be damaged, bridges may collapse, and the telephone systems just will not work. What you need to remember is that when there is a disaster, emergency services become overwhelmed and unable to respond to all calls for help. Please only dial 911 if it's a true life-threatening emergency. What are the most important impacts of a disaster in your neighborhood? What you might expect are injuries, property damage, feelings of isolation, and feelings of hopelessness. We want you to know that the emergency services are doing their level best to bring these things back to some sense of normalcy. Fire, police, emergency medical services, and city government will all be working as hard as possible to help you. Disaster preparedness is a partnership from the federal government all the way down to local jurisdictions. All agencies are working together to restore services as soon as possible. So the citizens need to be a part of this plan as well. They need to plan to take care of themselves without the usual services for a minimum of 3 to 5 days. A very important part of your emergency plan should be disaster supplies. You should have a disaster supply kit in your home, in your car, at work, and for your children even at school. Here are some important items that you should have in your disaster supply kit. Water, about 1 gallon of water per person per day. Non-perishable food items. Blankets, warm, sturdy seasonal clothing, flashlights with batteries, and glow sticks. A radio with batteries, medical and first aid supplies, prescription medications for at least a week, tools and sanitation supplies, and cash. The reason I mention you should have cash is the ATM machines may not work, so a little bit of cash on hand will go a long way. Another good thing to have in your emergency kit would be a spare pair of eyeglasses if you wear them. For your car's emergency supply kit, you should have some of the same items you do in your home. At work, you will need a small grab-and-go kit. This could include some items such as sturdy shoes, a flashlight, whistle, battery-powered radio, energy bar, and a bottle of water. It is also important to remember, if the electricity goes out, to eat the food in your refrigerator first, then the food in your freezer, and lastly, non-perishable food items. Next, develop your family's communications plan. Since the phone system usually goes out after an earthquake or disaster due to overuse, first check to make sure your phone's at home or placed back on the cradle. And then wait about 3 to 4 hours. Check for a dial tone, then make your call. Once you're able to get a dial tone, you'll most likely be able to make a long distance call before you can make a local call. You need to have an outer area, or even better, out of state emergency contact person, a family member or friend. Each member of your family should know to call this out-of-area contact to make sure you all are accounted for. The SPAN program, Strengthening Preparedness Among Neighbors, organizes neighborhoods so that you will be able to take care of each other for those first 3 to 5 days after a disaster. It's a program that allows neighbors to come together in teams to support themselves in disaster. The teams that you will be establishing are communications, damage assessment, first aid, safety and security, light search and rescue, and special needs. These teams will be headed up by a captain trained to help in the neighborhood when the disaster strikes. What you can do prior to the disaster is learn first aid, CPR, and how to use a fire extinguisher. How to be safe during an earthquake. During an earthquake, the first thing you need to do is drop, cover, and hold. These illustrations will show you that you have to be under a sturdy object and hold onto it until it stops shaking. If there is no table for you to crawl under, sit down against the inside wall and cover your head. This will protect you from falling debris. If you are driving in your automobile and an earthquake strikes, pull away from overpasses and bridges. Park on the side of the road and wait until the shaking stops. Please stay in your vehicle. These quake-safe actions can save lives. After the earthquake, check all your utilities: electricity, gas, and water. If you find an electrical problem, locate the main electrical switch on your fuse panel in your home and turn off the circuits one at a time, and then turn off the main circuit breaker. For the water, turn off the water at the main meter or at the water main leading into the home. This will prevent contaminated water from entering your water heater and plumbing. Turn the valve with a wrench 1/4 turn to the right. For gas leaks, if you can smell the gas or if you hear a hissing sound, turn the gas off at the meter. Turn the valve 1/4 turn. If the valve is in alignment with the pipe, the gas is flowing. If the valve is turned a 90-degree angle away from the pipe, it is closed. Only shut off the gas if you believe there is a leak. And please do not attempt to turn the gas back on yourself. Only a qualified professional should turn the gas back on. They will make sure that the lines have been checked from the main gas meter back to your home. During disasters, we should all be concerned with carbon monoxide poisoning. Every year, many people lose their lives because of this odorless, colorless, and tasteless gas. What we want you to remember is that you should never bring your hibachi or your barbecue inside the home for cooking. Generators should only be used out of doors and away from the home or garage. Proper use of a fire extinguisher during a disaster is critical. Pick up the fire extinguisher, pull the safety pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the handle, and sweep back and forth. Make sure you are a good distance from the fire and walk towards it as you extinguish it. In the Puget Sound area, which includes Bellevue and Seattle, tune into Cairo Radio 710 AM for information during disasters. In conclusion, you need to develop a plan. Build an emergency kit to last 3 days or more. Identify an out-of-state contact for your whole family. Learn some safety skills and get involved with the SPAN program in your neighborhood. If you would like more information on emergency preparedness or the SPAN program, please contact the Bellevue Fire Department Emergency Preparedness Division at 425-452-7923. Thank you for your time and stay safe.